a podcast by Cipra.
Il podcast della Cipra.
Le podcast de la Cipra.
Der Cipra Podcast.
Ciprim Podcast.
Interviews, background talks, and voices from all Alpine countries. Listen to this and more in the podcast of the International Commission for the Protection of the Alps, www.cipra.org/podcast.
Welcome to another edition of the Cipra Podcast. My name is Michael Gams. From the fish farming of the marble trout in the Slovenian Soča Valley to the cultivation of chestnuts in the Italian Valsugana Valley, the food culture in the Alpine region is as diverse as the landscape and the people of the various Alpine regions. Today I am talking to someone who is an expert in Alpine food culture, Cassiano Luminati. Welcome and thank you for taking the time for a conversation.
Thank you, and I'm glad to be part of it now today.
You coordinated the AlpFoodWay project from 2016 to 2019. Good food is available almost everywhere in the world. What makes Alpine food culture so special?
The thing about AlpFoodWay and the Alpine food heritage is that this kind of heritage is connected to shaping what we see of the Alps, and it's connected to the communities that are living in the Alps, since everybody's discussing on how we can create a sustainable development and keep the mountain valleys attractive to people to live in. It's very important to talk about this aspect. The food chains are one of the most important, more visible aspects that we see for the quality of life in the Alpine area, and it's connected to many aspects, from the landscape to biodiversity to climate adaptation to innovation. So the idea of this project was to really show how alive this heritage is, because we are not talking about an Alpine museum, but we are talking about the Alps today, of the new generations that are working and living in the Alpine area now. And many of the activities are connected with food and the food value chains. So AlpFoodWay was working on this aspect. So it's true, there is a lot of food all around the world, which is good and important. And for the Alpine area, it is one of the important aspects for the quality of life, and also for many other aspects that are connected also to keeping the Alps as a natural and a cultural environment to live in.
The eating culture is constantly changing. Grain, for example, used to play a greater role than meat, but this relationship has now been reversed if you look at the meat industry. Which kind of food culture should we preserve, and where should we be open to new things?
I think the discussion we had in AlpFoodWay was really to show short value chains and what is behind these value chains. It's true that in general, the agricultural production has changed a lot in the last 70, 80 years. And the attractiveness of small-scale agriculture was almost lost. But what we see now, and just now in this period where we have to face a lot of challenges that are related to also to what the pandemic provoked in the whole world, short value chains showed that they're really something important to the people, to give a possibility to get to food. And this industrialized food production is not guaranteed when something big happens like a pandemic. So at the moment, it also shows how resilient the Alpine area are. So the idea is really to show that there is a lot going on, that we need to give more value also to the food that is produced. So this project was also about mapping, showing what is the communities that are still in the Alps. So showing that there is a lot of people behind this, but that there is also to make people aware that we need to be willing maybe to pay a bit more for some products that are coming from this kind of value chains, because the price is not only the price of the food itself, but it has a lot of things behind it that you pay with it. So things that are very important also for people living in urban areas, because if the Alpine area is still a place where people live in, a lot of things are better for everybody, not only the food production, but all the kind of management of the landscape and all the things that are connected to the climate crisis, that are landslides and so on. If people stay in the mountain areas, we can keep up, and the mountains have more a landscape that everybody likes. But because at the end, we are talking about that. For people coming from outside of the Alps, it is interesting. They like the Alps and this living cultural landscape of the Alps. But behind that, there is much more. And so we try to explain this with this project, and to give also tools to the communities to promote their products in a better way.
The examples I mentioned at the beginning are just 2 out of a total of 150 culinary practices across the entire Alpine region that the AlpFoodWay project has documented. So what were the 2 or 3 things from these 150 where you thought, Cassiano, wow, I didn't know anything about that either?
Most of them I didn't know, because you know what is going on close to you. So it's when you start to see how much there is in the Alpine area, and with this, the 14 partners of AlpFoodWay did a great job in starting to map. I underline starting to map, because this inventory that you see that is called intangiblesearch.eu is an open community-based inventory, which is also something completely innovative and new, because it is open to new communities that want to tell their story, tell what they are doing. Because this is important, we have to show it somewhere. And this map that we create shows the diversity that there is in the Alpine area, but also what is important, that there is a common heritage. We are talking about a Alpine food heritage, and not about the Valposchiavo food heritage from where I'm from, or from the food heritage of a small Slovenian valley. It's because the values that we share across the Alps, the communities share the same values, and this is very important. The products that are issued out of these productions are different in every area. The sausages from my area is different from the one from France. But at the end, what is at the basis of this food heritage are the same values that are related to the area where we live in. It's this mountain area, to also the exchange that happened through the Alps from north to south, from east to west, that enriched a lot the Alpine food heritage. So I think the most important thing that we show with this inventory is the diversity of the productions, the liveliness of the Alpine communities, and of the people still innovating also the tradition. And on the other side, the unity of this Alpine area regarding food heritage.
14 partners from all the Alpine countries work together on the project. So what have all these partners learned from each other through this international cooperation?
Yeah, this project was based on an intersectoral, transsectoral approach. So the partners were very diverse. At the beginning, we had to understand what we are talking about, because it was not easy to bring all the partners that are communities. Some partners represent communities, other partners represent research centers in different aspects. The one that are more connected to anthropology, or the other ones were connected to marketing. The other ones were working more in lifelong learning aspects. So everybody had to understand what we were talking about, because we didn't use the same language at the beginning. So the first thing was to understand what we did. But then at the end, this enriched a lot the experience of all partners. And I think also the results of the projects are very important, because we had the possibility to develop guidelines that are really cross-sectoral, which is I think, one of the most important approaches. We cannot continue to talk in silos about food heritage. It connects a lot of sectors and of knowledge that is needed. So at the end, everybody learned a lot, and we have our marketing partners from France, for example, that they learned a completely new word that is connected to heritage. So how to market heritage? It's very different from what you normally are used to learn also when you learn marketing, because you need a different approach. The communities, they need a different tools to tell their story, to market their products than a company. This work we did with the partners is still going on. So the project's finished almost a year ago, but we have a lot of activities that are continuing in this aspect that all the partners that participated at this project are working on now on different other projects or in daily business they do.
One of the results of the project was a charter for the preservation of Alpine food culture. The long-term goal of the AlpFoodWay project is the international recognition of Alpine food culture as an intangible cultural heritage by UNESCO. Now, 1 year after the project's completion, how close are you to this goal?
Yeah, we're getting closer. It's a complex thing, we are going global, let's say, because this intangible cultural heritage list of UNESCO is a global list. So it's something that is very important for Alpine communities to get on a list like this, because it gives a total new perspective for them, but also to legislators and also to the countries that are participating to it, because it enables also to understand how we plan to support communities and food heritage. So it's not only like being on the list and then that's it, but it's being on a list like this it's a starting point for policymakers, for communities to preserve and to innovate also Alpine heritage. So the process is ongoing. The Regione Lombardia, which was one of the partners of this project, which is one of the regions that is working a lot in the last years on the valorization of intangible heritage, has set up an international task force for this candidature. So we are writing the dossier, so the official document that will unite different countries to go towards UNESCO to this inscription. What is very important is UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage is community-based, as our inventories also is. So communities are at the center. So it's very important that the communities support this process towards the national levels. So what we did with AlpFoodWay was to create the basis. So starting the inventory. So I invite everybody that is listening here that maybe has an idea of, they have something very valuable in their area that is regarding their food heritage, to put it on this inventory. There is a possibility to make an entry on this inventory, and to sign also the petition. We have still a petition going on the website alpfoodway.eu, where you can find also the charter that explains what we are talking about, what you can do also. It's very important because everybody can do something about preservation of food heritage, not only signing the petition, but first thing of all is when you start to buy the products, or when you go in an Alpine area, asking from where the products are coming, to make also the locals more aware that you are interested in the local production. And for policymakers, there is also a vision paper with a lot of recipes that you can use to valorize this. Also very simple things. Sometimes you don't need a lot of money to do this. It's a lot about using existing tools to support what is going on. And so we think we are writing this dossier now, and in the next months, we will share it with the communities to have a stronger support, because now the support on the platform is a more general support, and we will go deeper on the support on the official dossier. So this is a process going on. And I think in the next year and a half, we should be able to have this candidature deposed at UNESCO level, and then crossing fingers, having it inscribed in the list. And then the work starts again, because then we need to work on safeguarding plans. UNESCO asks, when you are on the list, that every country that supported this candidature also puts in place this kind of programs that help concretely the communities to valorize this intangible heritage.
Of course, the corona crisis currently dominates all areas of life. Where do you currently see the biggest changes in our eating culture caused by corona?
I think when we were just in the middle of the first lockdown, everybody was really talking about that this is an opportunity to change something and so on. Now, I don't know if it's really happening because everybody wants to go back to the business as it was before. So I think we really have to work on this opportunity, because we saw during the corona crisis that people were since you could not travel, you could not buy outside your area and so on, that people were trying to find food from short value chains from where they lived in the area. So they were searching for food in that is not coming from far away and so on. So I think this was an important aspect. We need to show that this is really something that can change, and to show what is behind this. It's not only something that saves you during a crisis, but it's something that saves you for the future. I think in some areas it's really the possibility to create opportunities to live and to work in the areas, to have a higher quality of life, a higher quality of food, of course, and also the opportunity for many people to develop also new products in the area. So I think we showed that there is still something going on. Also, I think this was also important. So many people discovered that they had in proximity a lot of opportunities that they never looked at because they were used to go to the supermarket and to buy there. But when it was not possible, they started to notice again what's still there. But this production is really struggling. So I think this is important that we, through projects like this one or other projects, we are working also on a project that is trying to create a model for 100% local value chains and showing that there are chances. So I'm coming from an area where you really can see what happens if you work on a 100% local value chain, a radically local value chain, which is important. So I think we need now to really continue to show that there is something possible in these value chains. And hoping that this corona crisis really was a trigger for that. At the moment, I'm a bit skeptical because what I see going on is like, as I said, going back to business as usual. So we have to continue to discuss it and to keep it on a high interest on the medias. And as I said, this UNESCO candidature helps exactly in this way, showing that is something relevant, that is not only a small community somewhere in the Alps, but there are a lot of communities, that there is a network of communities, people, producers, young people. It's not old, it's innovative, because we are talking about a living heritage. And this is something that, like a candidature we are doing, helps to keep the attention high on this topic.
Thank you very much for the interview, Cassiano Luminati from AlpFoodWay. We will continue to follow the UNESCO candidacy of the Alpine food culture with interest. And of course, I wish you all the best for this.
Yeah, thank you. Not only for me, but for everybody. So I invite you to give a look to the platform, AlpFoodWay.eu, where you can find all the information and the possibility to support this process going on. It's very important that the communities in the Alpine area, and I thank CIPRA International for the support, because CIPRA always supported the activities we did, and it's a very important network for us. So thank you for the opportunity to talk about AlpFoodWay.
For more information, visit the website alpfoodway.eu. My name is Michael Gams. Thank you for listening.
A podcast by CIPRA.
Il podcast della CIPRA.
Le podcast de la CIPRA.
Der CIPRA Podcast.
CIPRIM Podcast.
Interviews, background talks, and voices from all Alpine countries. Listen to this and more in the podcast of the International Commission for the Protection of the Alps, www.cipra.org/podcast.